Alright guys, today I'm going to be telling you why it is a terrible idea to go for universal pre-K and why Joe Biden promoting this is actually a Trojan horse for the left wing to kill all of us. I'm exaggerating, but at the same time, there is a little bit of truth in this. Obviously, it might seem on the surface like, okay, more schooling for people, that is a great idea. Well, first of all, no, it isn't. And, for so many right-wingers to complain about, the colleges are making my kid into a libtard, it's like, well, then what do you think pre-K does too? What do you mean, Lalo? Well, think about it. If school is already pushing CRT at the public education level, and we see that the liberals are trying to infiltrate education, what makes you think that sending your kid to school, through the government wallet is going to help your children? Think about it this way. If at 8 years old they're trying to teach your kid sex ed and that homosexuality is okay and all this garbage, what makes you think they're not going to do that when they're 4 years old, okay, in preschool? They're going to start teaching them genderless pronouns. They're going to start teaching them all this other queer stuff. And a lot of people might say, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory." But just look at the trajectory of the country. It's all going to get worse. And the liberals are weaponizing virtually every institution they have to screw over the right wing and push their Marxist agenda. Not to sound like a boomer, but it is true. It is really, really much the case. So all these conservatives that are for common good and infrastructure and all this, you're fucking retarded, okay? You're falling for it. Oh, yeah, they're going to fix bridges, bro. Well, first of all, the state budget is supposed to encompass that, not the federal budget, by and large, minus, highways and national parks. Okay, so while he, and by he, I mean Joe Biden, is going to propose, the Build Back Better plan and infrastructure plan and all this garbage, he's going to say, oh, I'm going to invest hundreds of billions into roads. It's like, well, what about the billions you're going to put into schooling? And he might trick you into saying, well, this daycare and this pre-K is going to help struggling families. It's like, no, it's not. And then these right-wingers and these center-right people on, Twitch and on YouTube, including Counterpoints, he's a bitch. Anyways, the point is that these people use the argument of, oh, this guy, to the study from 20 years ago or this study from 5 years ago, according to these people, kids that go through private pre-K are this much better at this, and this than people that don't get pre-K. And it's like, no, that's not true. Why? Well, think about it this way. The kids that can already afford a private education at the preschool age are kids that are already better off. Kids that probably already have their dad at home. Kids that are of the upper class. So to say like, oh, if we give everybody pre-K, they're going to do as good as those rich kids with the pre-K is kind of asinine. So again, people don't know how to read stats and they misinterpret them even if they do know how to read them. So because of that, don't listen to these fucking blokes over here talking about, oh, the pre-K is going to help solve a lot of issues. Or, if we give pre-K to these like blacks in Baltimore, it's going to make them smart overnight. Like, no, it isn't. And you might think I'm straw manning these people, but this is what they genuinely want you to believe at the end of the day. They want to tell you that this pre-K, the the preschool education is going to make these kids have like a 15-point IQ advantage over the other cohorts without pre-K, and that's just not the case. It'll probably help your kid marginally learn, but at the same time, keep in mind that it is with this mask nonsense, it is with this liberal education, it is with the trans stuff. And overall, I mean, if your kid is going to be subjected to this liberal propaganda, you might as well just teach your kid yourselves, or ideally, if you're like a grown man, have your wife stay at home and teach your kids how to be basic human beings at the age of 4 and not rely on a fucking liberal school education system that you're paying for, by the way. Anyways, so, and of course, we have a national debt that's out of control. I don't need to tell you this. So again, this is all spending money that we don't have in the first place. So for anybody saying, oh, it's only so much money, the budget's a lot bigger, it's like, nigga, we don't have any money to begin with. It's like being $15,000 in credit card debt and saying like, well, this McDonald's is only $15. It's like, well, you have no money to begin with. So 15 out of what? You're at negative. You're in the black. In your dreams, bro. You're in the red right now. We are in the red. Us Americans, we're fucked. Anyways, if you look over here, between 40,000 and 50,000 new teachers are needed to enroll just 70% of the 3 to 4-year-old kids, according to an estimate by the National Institute of Early Education Research at Rutgers University. So we need tens of thousands of new teachers. Where are they coming from? Nowhere. If you look at certain universities, in Arizona, they're subsidizing the tuition of people that are studying to be teachers because we don't have enough teachers, partially because of immigration and a saturation of third world children. And besides that, teaching sucks, and part of that is because of the unionization of the teachers, and because teachers are lazy people in general. Most of them are, at least. So Again, the right wing needs to stop looking at teachers as like the one teacher you had in the third grade in 1985 that was good to you. We're talking about teachers nowadays that are garbage. Most of them are taking TikToks of themselves, the women, and overall are just really detrimental to this society. If you were to think about it this way, look, it makes a lot of sense. The teachers, we need to view teachers in public schools like how black people view the police, okay? Like with an inherent distrust, and to assume that most of them are detrimental to the community, okay? And even on paper, cops are supposed to help ghetto neighborhoods, and teachers are supposed to help children learn in conservative neighborhoods. But the fact is that we view both of these institutions with skepticism, and it's a healthy one. The teachers, by and large, are some of the laziest people I've ever met, and are very liberal, and they hide it. And at the parent-teacher conferences, they'll play it up like, oh, shit, dude, we're not teaching them anything that crazy. It's like, nah, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. I was a student recently. Like, come on. So this proposal is going to be $1.9 trillion in a spending bill moving through Congress, okay? And in the long run, it's trying to require new pre-K teachers to earn a bachelor's degree within 6 years. So they're adding a bunch of requirements that aren't necessarily needed as well when we already have a deficit of teachers. So thank you so much, Democrats, you fucking imbeciles. These people cannot even count. Okay? Also, we'll look over here. Limits of state-funded pre-K. The Democrats' push for universal pre-K and affordable childcare comes with an economic effect of coronavirus pandemic continuing to hold some families back. In some of these states, low-income families qualify for affordable pre-K programs, but there's big gaps in the coverage. So now they want to subsidize the state pre-K programs as well. So how long will this take? Well, the bill only provides funding for 6 years, leaving the states completely on the hook unless Congress reauthorizes more spending in the future. So what this means is that, so look at this. It's unlikely. So even the people that are responsible for this bill are saying it's unlikely that each state could serve 3 to 4 year olds in 6 years. So even if Joe Biden passes this bullshit bill of funding that only covers like the first 6 years, it won't even be operational until 6 years. Okay, so you have to better hope to God that whoever gets the money is just going to let it sit there for the first 5 years until they get all the teachers they need to actually start the programs. And of course, if there's going to be starting, if we're going to be educating new teachers to be these pre-K teachers, then obviously they're going to be more liberal, because the younger the teachers, the more liberal by and large, at least in correlative, fact is. So by that logic, then these teachers are going to be younger. They're going to be more radicalized than the 40-year-olds that you would expect to be the preschool teachers, and they're going to teach your kids a bunch of bullshit. And if you think that teachers weren't taught CRT, in their English class 30 years ago, they damn sure are learning some sort of bullshit gender science nowadays in the 2020s. And again, these are the people that are going to be teaching your kids, and you're going to be paying for it too. So you're the ultimate mark if you believe in this garbage. And also keep in mind this, he's only funding 6 years. So that means that either the states, Arizona, Texas, increase their taxes to pay for this pre-K nonsense, and you get to pay more, or the Congress reauthorizes more spending for pre-K that we don't have. We're multi-trillions of dollars in the hole for just 2020 in and of itself. Don't get me started on 2021. And again, he wants to expand the funding by over $2 trillion fucking dollars for the pre-K and the affordable care thing and all this other garbage. So again, we don't have this money, and even if the government doesn't spend it, he wants the states to increase their taxes. So either you're paying through this through inflation and debt at the federal level, or you're paying it through increased taxes at the state level. And be rest assured that the Republican Congress will not be funding this shit 6 years from now when it runs out of funding. For that, I mean that, so the Congress is going to block the funding at some point, which means that the states are going to have to raise taxes. And overall, Joe Biden is such a bitch that he'll basically move the funding priority from the federal government to the states without even giving the states the authority to change the programs of pre-K. So he's saying, you know what, here's the first 2 car payments for your car, but I completely own it despite you needing to pay for it going forward. That's basically what he's saying to the states in terms of pre-K education. So this guy's a fucking snake. And by him, I mean whoever's controlling Joe Biden, whoever's saying whatever he says in the teleprompter, whoever's writing his speeches, because he's obviously not a cognizant human being. But to keep in mind and keep focused for this show, I just need to tell you. Okay, so just a 1 minute summary real quick. Joe Biden is going to propose a new spending priority, which is pre-K, which is a Trojan horse to indoctrinate your children with new CRT, with new gender Marxist theory. He's going to fill these teaching slots by young people that were born and raised and educated in college with this new liberal orthodoxy, not even the old garbage from 30 years ago, but the new shit. So you're going to be hiring a bunch of Vouches, Vouch, the communist pedo supporting YouTuber. He's basically going to be the type of teacher your kid's going to get in preschool. And again, they're going to need to hire another 50,000 teachers, all with this new liberal garbage from the modern era that are going to infest your kids with this nonsense. So instead of learning, he, she, and whatever, they're going to learn, oh, they, them. Oh, your pronouns helicopter. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, wow, you're so impressive. All this garbage. And don't be surprised if we start seeing little kids with like dyed hair. I mean, this is just super toxic. And look, again, I'm not against preschool in principle. Obviously, like I went to preschool, but again, that was a normal preschool. It was not, a tranny preschool. It was not a gay preschool. It wasn't a liberal preschool even. So again, please keep in mind that this is what's going to happen to your children, your siblings, whatever, your cousins, if this passes. So please do not fall for it. Do not support universal pre-K. It is a trap. It is a trap. Who is the first major politician to support universal pre-K? As far as I know, it was Bill de Blasio in New York in 2017, I believe. Bill de Blasio is a terrible politician. I rest my case on that question. And again, look, you should, and even if in preschool your kid learns English, learns how to write and read, and a year earlier, is that really worth them getting corrupted with this liberal shit, with this transgender ideology? Is that worth it to you? And in terms of whether or not this is even financially viable, it obviously isn't. I already proved this to you. And the next point is, oh, but you're saying that they're gonna infest them with Marxism at 4 years old, but without universal pre-K, they'll just get it in first grade. It's like, well, would you rather your kid be 6 years old and be indoctrinated where he knows a little bit better, or would you rather him get indoctrinated at 3 or 4 years old? Okay, so again, I'm just trying to mitigate the consequences of a democratic government. Okay, so overall, I rate the universal pre-K idea as a 0. This has literally no upside. There's no upside. And again, for people that want to say oh, it'll help kids with their education, like arithmetic and all this, these are new teachers. These aren't even experienced people. These are just fucking millennials or Gen Z, God forbid, that are going to be over here. You're going to have a lesbian preschool teacher. Yippee hooray, bro. Seriously, do not fall for this shit. Childcare, pre-K, and all this other stuff, government funded, by the way, is a trap to get conservatives on the back foot. Do not listen to the lies from the media. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching the video. Comment down below if you support this bill. If not, then, again, tell me. Bye.